Okay, this is Blake from FDA Year 2, just talking about his final project. So tell us about your role and your main responsibilities throughout the project.
My role is a member of the production team, so at the beginning of the project it was mainly researching the 3 reference albums, and then further on in recording the demos, and then eventually to recording the final pick songs and then post-production.
Okay. So how would you describe success within that role, and what problems did you encounter with it, and how did you overcome those problems as well?
I think my role, I've done alright. I think recording wise it's gone really well, but I found a problem with research. I found for the Vampire Weekend album you could find quite a lot of information about, but for the other 2s it was almost like you couldn't find out. In one of the interviews, the producer of Laura Marling's album said he hates the album and never wants to talk about it. So it's hard to find any referential information to put into the track. So that's the main reason why it's been hard research, and where Rykuda isn't very commercial, he's known for playing on other people's music, it's hard to find out information about his own stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how did you overcome that? Like when you were recording Rykuda, what did you just go by what you thought was best?
Yeah, it was pretty much analysing songs that he's had before Rykuda and Laura Marling, listening to the albums and just analysing it and trying to recreate that sound. I guess Vampire Weekend there was quite a bit of information, so it was alright.
Okay. So question for you then. What have you learned from this project, and is there anything you would do differently a second time round?
What have I learned from this project? I've learned a lot in the studio, and I feel I've learned a lot on how to work with people, like situations if people aren't doing the right thing in the studio or in the live room, how to deal with certain people, so be more stubborn with some, be easier with others. There's ways to go around things.
Can you talk about a situation you had to deal with that, like in the studio, that was difficult? Or like how to get the best take from someone? Like talk about both really.
With Lewis, it was a case when we was recording and playing the guitar. With Lewis, it was a case that he wasn't really too keen on the piece, but he wanted to give it a go, and I felt I should have been more stubborn with Lewis and just said, right, you don't know it, so you come out and let someone else do it. But with Jack, it was a different case, as he obviously knew the piece, but he just wasn't feeling it on the day. So I learned you have to take a lighter approach with some other people when things ain't going the way you want it to, I guess.
So just compromising to like get the best take from people. And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Just treating them differently. Some need a kick up the ass and some don't.
Okay. So how do you think things could have been handled better throughout the project? Not just the production, but you include that, but also like the whole project itself.
I feel the project overall, it went quite alright. The only things I think would handle it better was basically where the project changed a loads, I thought that really messed everything up. Like we go to Easter, then we get told at Easter time when we've broke up, so there's no chance of getting in and doing stuff with people, that the first years are gone. So then I feel we've done alright. Maybe a bit more organisation through all of us, not just upper ranks, but through all of us, a bit more organisation. But I feel it's hard to organise things when you don't exactly know what you're doing, because the plan gets changed by people every day.
So just better communication really. Like if there's a problem, tell us or something like that.
Yeah, better communication, but where the lecturers change the project, I can understand why it's hard for everyone to be up on dates when it gets changed so often.
Like how reliable do you think it is to like leave the brief like to be written by the student? Do you think the lecturer should have more involvement on it? Or
that's the thing. With this course, with this project, they want us to write our own brief, which I get, but then they mark us but then they don't mark us on that brief, like, which is strange. Like, they mark us in their mind, but they get us to write the brief. So if you writ us a brief, we would do everything to what you're thinking, if you know what I mean. We'd do everything to get us good marks if you wrote the brief. I just didn't get the fact that we write our own brief, so we pick what we want to get marks on, and yet we don't get marked on it. That's what I found strange with writing your own brief.
Yeah, I agree on that, yeah. Good. The next question, take us through your production processes of the songs, and what elements did you implement from what you've learned into your own pieces? I'll ask the question again. I'll just stop it there because